In this warm-up, we are just adding or subtracting. If you see that subtraction, you can think about it as those leave change. Negative 15 plus positive 16 would give you 1. You can do the same thing here, turning that one into a negative. Negative 15 plus negative 16 is negative 31. Please complete all of the warm-up in your composition book. In this slide, we're looking for which doesn't belong. I notice first that I have some decimals in the second one, and the rest of them don't have decimals. I also see that this one only has 2 add-ins, but the rest have 3. So that one might not belong. If we look at the sum of these, negative 2 and negative 3 make negative 5. 5 and negative 5 make 0. Negative 4 and 4 make 0. 7 and 3 make 10. And 10 and negative 10 make 0. 3.5 and 1.5 add up to 5. And 5 and negative 5 also make 0. So we can make an argument that all of these belong. We might notice some differences in the expressions that we could bring out. This is the only one that has a subtraction in it. The rest of them are addition. But we could argue they all belong because they have a total of 0. In today's lesson, we're going to be playing a card game, and our whole goal is to get 0 to win the card game. So in your workbook, you'll have a space that you can use to keep track of your score as you play this card game. You can write down the cards that are in your hand and find their sum. And I'm going to explain how to play this card game and show you a demonstration round. So the game today is called the integer card game. And in this game, your goal is to score 0, but you find your score based on the sum of the cards in your hand. So we're going to play that demonstration round. To start off, we have a deck of cards. We're going to shuffle and deal 4 cards to each player. And we're also going to flip the top card over to create a draw and a discard pile. So we're going to play this round face up so you can see exactly what the thought process is for each hand. In a typical game, you would play with the cards in your hand facing you and hiding from your opponents. Now your choices, you can either draw from the top of the draw pile or you can draw from the top of the discard pile. So this player is going to go first. Right now, they have a 7 and a negative 7 makes 0, but 5 plus 8 is 13. So their score right now is 13. The goal again is to get to 0. So I can draw this 4 and swap it out with the 8, because now instead of 13, now my score is 9. And they're going to discard their card that they got rid of in the discard pile. Now it's this player's turn. So right now they have a negative 4 and a negative 12, which makes negative 16, plus 2 is negative 14. So this player might be thinking that they need to increase their score. Now we can swap out the 8 with the 0. This would give them 10 and negative 16 for a score of negative 6. We could swap out the 4, the negative 4, because then I have 10, and negative 12 would put me at negative 2. That is closer to 0. We could swap out the negative 12 Then I have 10 and negative 4. That puts me at 6. Negative 2 is closer to 0 than 6. So we're going to put the 8 there and discard here. This person has 1 plus 12 is 13, plus a negative 3 would be 10, plus a negative 6 would be 4. So we can swap out some of these cards with the discard pile, or we can risk drawing. So they drew a 2. You can swap out any of these cards with a 2, or if you don't want the 2, you can discard it. If we swap out the 1 with a 2, that puts us higher, so we don't want to do that. If we swap out the 12, that would put us at 3 minus 3 is 0, and then we'd have negative 6, but right now we're only 4 away from 0, and that would be 6 away from 0. If I put the 2 here, now I have 14, 15, plus negative 6 is 9. That's farther away than I am right now. And if I swap out this one, again, 14, 15, and negative 3 puts me at 12. So this person doesn't necessarily want the 2. This person has a lot of negatives. So they might be looking at this 2 and thinking, I could swap that out to help boost my score, or I could draw this and see if maybe I get a higher positive value. They got a negative 3, which doesn't help go up a ton, but if we replace this negative 11, at least it puts us closer to 0. So now I have negative 8, and negative 8 is negative 16, negative 17, 18, 19, plus 9 is negative 10. This person can be looking at this negative 11 or risk drawing. So they're going to draw, and they drew a 6. Right now they have 9 showing. If we swap out this 7 with a 6, this would be negative 1 plus 9, which is 8. So they're getting closer to 0. We can draw a 7, or we can draw off the top. Right now this person has negative 2. They're going to draw. They got negative 7. If we swap out this negative 12 with a negative 7, 10 and negative 7 is 3. Right now they're at negative 2. So they're closer to 0 with negative 2 than they would be with positive 3. This person has 13, negative 6, and negative 7 add up to negative 13. 6 plus 7, 6 and 6 would be 12. One more would be 13. So they have negative 13 and positive 13, which adds to 0. So this player wins the game because their score was 0. So we're going to play this card game in class. If you don't have access to these cards, you can also use a regular deck of cards and think of the red cards as negative and the black cards as positive. And then you have some values that you can work with in a regular deck of cards. So that's what we're doing in class. Just make sure your warm-up is complete, and then we're playing this game. If you come back the next day and we're still playing this game, at least now you know how the game is played. Alright, I will see you in the next one.